The night was quiet, but her mind was not. The alien girl sat near the glowing crystals of her village, pretending to study the shapes on the ground. But inside her heart was beating too fast. She had carried a question for many seasons, a question no one dared to ask, a question that could destroy her life if spoken out loud. Her people were strict, their rules older than stone. To them, humans were strange creatures, dangerous and unclean. Humans were allowed to live only at the edge of the alien city. Never inside, never trusted. And the greatest rule was simple: never ask about human ways, especially about how they create life. But the alien girl was not like the others. She was young, curious, and stubborn, while other girls whispered about festivals and jewels. She whispered only to herself about forbidden things. Her teachers told her life was given by the energy of the stars, but her heart told her there was more. Every time she saw a human walking by, every time she caught their strange scent, she felt the question rise again and again. How do humans reproduce? One evening, she could no longer hold it back. She waited until the guards of her district turned away, until her mother and sisters slept, until the wind covered her steps. Then she crossed the empty paths toward the outer edge. Her people would call her foolish, but her curiosity was stronger than fear. There, near the broken wall where the city ended, a human worked alone. He was tall, his hands rough from labor, his clothes patched and simple. He noticed her at once, his eyes sharp but not unkind. "Why are you here?" he asked, his voice deep and steady. No alien girl ever came near the human quarter at night. She froze, her throat dry, but then the words spilled out. I have a question," she whispered, her eyes darting left and right. The human raised an eyebrow. "A question for me?" She nodded quickly. "Yes, but you must promise not to tell anyone." The human leaned closer, his face serious. "That depends, little one. What is your question?" Her hands trembled. Her chest rose and fell as if she had run 1,000 steps. This was the moment she had feared and dreamed of. The words tasted heavy on her tongue, but once they left her lips, she could never take them back. She looked into his eyes and asked slowly, clearly, each word breaking a law of her people. "How do humans reproduce?" For a heartbeat, the world went silent. The wind seemed to stop, the crystals seemed to dim. Even the human's breath caught in his chest. He stared at her as if she had dropped a star into his hands. No alien had ever asked him this before, not in all the years he had lived on their world. "You should not be asking me this," he said carefully. "Do you know the danger?" "I know," she whispered. "But I must understand, no one here tells the truth. They only speak of stars and energy, but I have seen the children. I have seen the way your kind holds them. It is different. It must be different." Her voice shook, yet her eyes burned with fire. The human studied her for a long time, then sighed. "You are brave, or very foolish," he said. "If the council learns you came to me with this question, they will punish you. Maybe worse." "I do not care," she said quickly. "I only want to know. Please tell me what it means. Tell me how life begins for humans." The man looked around. The shadows stretched long across the ruined wall. He lowered his voice. "Very well, but only because I see your spirit will not rest otherwise." His eyes softened, but his tone was heavy. "You must promise me, child. You will guard this secret. For once you learn it, you cannot unlearn it. Your life will never be the same." She nodded with all her strength. "I promise." Her heart was racing. Her skin felt alive with heat. At last, the forbidden door was opening. The human leaned back slightly, his gaze distant, as if remembering something long buried. "What you call reproduction," he said, "we humans call it creation of life. It is not only flesh, it is not only blood, it is something deeper, something that binds two beings together in a way words can hardly explain." She leaned forward, her breath sharp, every muscle in her body ready. She did not yet understand, but she felt the weight of the moment pressing on her. This was no longer only her curiosity. This was history being broken open. But before the man could say more, a sharp sound cut the air. The girl flinched, her head turning toward the shadows. Far away, near the edge of the path, the glint of armor flashed, the echo of alien guards moving in the night. Her blood froze, her heart screamed. If they caught her here beside a human, speaking of forbidden things, her life would be over. The human noticed too, his jaw tightened. "Go," he whispered sharply. "Run before they see you, run now." But she stood still, her mind torn. She had waited her whole life for this answer. And now, just as the secret was about to be revealed, the night was closing on her. The question had been spoken, and once spoken, the universe itself seemed to lean in, listening, waiting. Would she learn the truth or be silenced forever? The alien girl ran through the narrow stone path, her breath shaking, her heart beating louder than the footsteps of the guards behind her. Shadows stretched across the walls. The glowing crystals flickered. She turned corner after corner until the sound of armor faded into silence. Only then did she stop, pressing her hand against her chest. Trembling with both fear and excitement, she had asked the question, the most dangerous question of her life, and the human had not laughed. He had not shouted, he had not betrayed her. He had looked at her with a seriousness that burned into her memory, and his unfinished words stayed with her, haunting her thoughts all night. She could not sleep. She could not close her eyes without hearing his voice whispering, creation of life, deeper than flesh, deeper than blood. The next day, she walked through the village like a ghost. The elders lectured about tradition. Her mother scolded her for being distracted. But none of it touched her. She thought only of the human, only of the answer left incomplete. By nightfall, she returned. This time she was more careful, watching the guards, moving only when the wind covered her steps. Her body pressed against the walls like a shadow. When she reached the broken wall, the human was waiting, his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. "You came back," he said, his voice low. "Yes," she breathed. "I need to hear the rest." For a long moment he stared at her, his eyes dark and heavy. "You are stubborn," he said at last. "And stubbornness is dangerous in your world." She stepped closer, her small hands clenched tight. "I don't care. I must know the truth." The human sighed and sat on a stone, motioning for her to sit across from him. When she obeyed, he leaned forward, his voice softer, almost like a story being told around a secret fire. "Among humans," he began, "life begins when two come together, not by force, not by command, but by choice." The girl frowned. Her forehead creased. "Choice?" "Yes," he nodded, "a man and a woman, or two beings who share bond. They join not only bodies but hearts, and in that union, something new is born, something that carries pieces of both, yet is entirely its own." The girl's eyes widened, her breath caught. "You mean you make life yourselves, not from stars, not from energy, but from connection?" The human smiled faintly. "Yes, connection, closeness, trust, and love." The word love echoed in her ears. Her people spoke of survival, of duty, of loyalty to the council, but never of love. She whispered it softly, testing it like a new taste on her tongue. "Love." He nodded again. "It is the bond that makes reproduction more than just nature, it makes it sacred." She leaned forward. "And the child? The child is part of both?" "Exactly," he said, his voice steady. "The child carries the blood, the memory, the spirit of both parents. It is the living proof that two became one." Her heart pounded, her skin tingled with wonder. No teacher had ever explained this. No elder had ever dared. Her people treated children as gifts from the stars, appearing without reason, raised by the community, never tied to one mother, one father. But this was different, this was personal, this was real. "Why do my people forbid this knowledge?" she whispered. The man's face hardened, his eyes shadowed. "Because knowledge is power, and power threatens those who wish to rule. If your people knew the truth, they would begin to question everything. The council would lose control. The old ways would crumble." A cold shiver ran through her, but with it came fire. She felt the truth burning inside her chest, and it was too strong to be hidden. She wanted to shout it, to tell the other girls, to scream at the elders, but she also knew the danger. The human leaned closer, his voice dropping. "Listen carefully, child. You ask me how humans reproduce. But you must understand, what we create is not only bodies, it is bonds. It is responsibility. It is pain and joy together. It is life-changing life." His eyes softened. "Do not think of it as forbidden knowledge. Think of it as a secret gift, a flame to guard until the day the universe is ready to see it." The girl sat frozen, her hands pressed against her knees, her eyes wet, her heart caught between fear and wonder. She had come seeking a simple answer, but what she found was greater than anything she had imagined. The truth was dangerous, yes, but it was also beautiful. For the first time in her life, she felt she was standing on the edge of something vast, something that could change her world forever. And yet she also knew the walls had ears. The shadows had eyes. The council would not remain blind for long. But in that moment, as the human's voice lingered in her heart, she whispered a vow only to herself. I will not forget, I will carry this truth. Even if it destroys me. The night air was heavy. The crystals glowed dimly, and somewhere beyond the walls, the universe itself seemed to stir. The forbidden question had been answered. But its answer was only the beginning, and the girl knew. Her life would never be the same. The alien girl thought she could hide it. She thought her visits to the human would remain secret, like shadows swallowed by night. But secrets are fragile things, and in her world, whispers travel faster than the wind. It began with small looks, sharp eyes watching her leave her home when others slept. Then came the questions from her sisters. Where do you go at night? Why do you return with your hair tangled, your eyes glowing? She brushed them off with lies, but lies are weak against curiosity. Soon the neighbors noticed too, and whispers began to spread like fire. In the marketplace, old women muttered behind her back. She lingers near the wall, one said. Her steps lead where they should not. Another spat on the ground. She is tainted, she goes near the humans, even children started to point. Giggling and whispering cruel names, she walked with her head low, but inside, her heart still burned with the truth she carried. At night, when she returned to the human, her hands shook with fear. They are watching me, she whispered, her voice trembling. They suspect something. The man's face darkened. I warned you, girl, truth is never safe. It draws hunters like blood draws beasts, I know, she said. But I cannot stop, I cannot unlearn what you told me. The human sighed, his eyes heavy with worry. Your people will not forgive. If the council hears, they will not only punish you, they will silence me too. Her chest tightened. The thought of losing him was unbearable. You are the only one who has ever spoken to me with honesty, she said, her voice breaking. I cannot lose that, I cannot lose you. But the danger grew every day. The elders began to speak in public about purity, warning the young to avoid human corruption. Guards searched the outer walls more often, carrying heavy staffs that glowed with cruel energy. Her own mother grew distant, watching her with suspicion, whispering with the neighbors late into the night. One evening, when she returned home, her father stood waiting at the door. His eyes were cold, his voice hard. Where have you been? She froze, her throat dry. I was walking. He snapped, his hand striking the wall beside her head. Do you take me for a fool? You have been near the outsiders, near the humans. Her legs trembled. Her heart screamed to deny it, but her silence gave her away. Her father's face twisted with fury and fear. You shame us, he hissed. You bring danger to this house if the council finds out. They will not only punish you, they will punish us all. Tears welled in her eyes, but no words came. He turned his back on her, his shoulders heavy with disappointment. Stay away from them, he ordered, or you will no longer be my daughter. That night, she ran, not to hide, but to find the only place she still felt alive. The human was waiting, as if he had known she would come. The moment she saw him, the dam inside her broke, and she collapsed into his arms, sobbing. They know, she choked out. Everyone knows my father. He hates me, they will destroy me. He held her steady, his voice calm, though his eyes burned with anger. Listen to me, little one, you are stronger than their fear. But you must be careful now, more careful than ever. Her tears fell hot on his shirt. What if they take me? What if they silence you? The human's jaw tightened. Then I will fight, I will not let them take you without a struggle. She looked up at him, her eyes wide, her voice breaking. Why do you care? I am not your kind, I am nothing to you. The human's gaze softened, and he whispered, You are not nothing. You are the only one brave enough to seek the truth. That makes you more than anyone else in this city. Her breath caught. Her heart pounded with something she could not name. In that moment, she felt a bond forming. Something deeper than fear. Deeper than curiosity. It was dangerous, yes, but it was also unshakable. But outside their secret meeting, the whispers grew into storms. The council's spies moved through the streets, gathering names, tracing steps. The girl's fate was no longer a private matter. It was becoming a question for the entire city. And in the dark corners, the elders muttered of punishment, of exile, of death, of cleansing fire to rid their people of human corruption. The girl did not know it yet, but her question had already gone beyond herself. Her whisper to a human had become a roar in the council's chambers, and soon, the judgment of her entire world would fall upon her shoulders. The night was no longer her ally, the shadows no longer safe. She had asked the forbidden question, she had heard the human's truth, and now the dark itself seemed to whisper back. Her name, her sin, her doom. The alien girl could not sleep anymore. Every night her heart whispered louder than the council's threats, louder than her father's anger, louder than the whispers of neighbors. She carried the human's words like fire inside her chest. Life begins when two come together, not only bodies but hearts. The more she thought of it, the stronger her curiosity grew. Her people had lived for centuries believing children simply appeared, gifts of the stars, but now she knew the truth was different, deeper, more secret. And the truth pulled her forward like gravity. One night she went again to the broken wall, her steps fast, her breath heavy. The human was there, waiting, his back against the stones. His face tense. When he saw her, he shook his head. You should not have come, girl. The guards grow closer every night. They suspect more than you know. I don't care, she said quickly, her voice trembling. I must understand, not only in words. I must see, I must feel what it means. His eyes widened, his arms uncrossed. Do you understand what you are asking? Yes, she whispered. I want to try. I want to know how humans create life. Not just in stories, but in truth. For a long time. He stared at her, the silence heavy. The glow of the crystals lit his face, shadows moving across his jaw. His eyes full of conflict. At last he whispered, This is not a game, little one. This is not curiosity anymore. This is choice, and once you cross it, you cannot return. She stepped closer, her hands trembling but her gaze firm. I am not afraid. If it is choice, then this is mine. I want to try. I want to feel the bond you spoke of. The man's chest rose and fell with a deep sigh. He looked at the stars above as if asking them for guidance. Then he nodded slowly. Very well. But remember, this is not only flesh. This is trust. If you do this, you must open your heart. Not only your body. Her throat was dry. Her heart raced, but she nodded. I understand, she said, though she was not sure if she truly did. The human guided her gently, his hands careful, his voice steady. He spoke softly, telling her what would happen, what it meant, why humans joined in this way. He did not rush, he did not force. He waited for her to choose each step. At first, fear gripped her, her body stiff, her breath shallow, but then she remembered his words. It is not only bodies, it is hearts, and she let herself trust him. Slowly, her fear turned into something else, something unknown but not painful, her chest filled with warmth, her skin alive with strange electricity. It was not like the old teachings, not like the cold energy of stars. It was personal, intimate, real. When it was over, she sat trembling, her hands pressed against her chest, her eyes wide with wonder and confusion. The human sat beside her quiet, watching her carefully. Now you see, he said softly. Reproduction is not just survival, it is unity. It is creation born from two becoming one. She closed her eyes, her breath uneven. Tears slid down her cheeks, but they were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of something she had no word for, she whispered. It feels alive, more alive than anything I have ever known. The man placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Remember this feeling, guard it, for it is dangerous and sacred both. She nodded slowly, but her body still shook, because deep inside her, something felt different. Not just her heart, not just her thoughts, but her very being. In the following days, she walked through her village with a secret so heavy she thought it might crush her. But the fire inside her burned brighter. She felt stronger, more awake, her skin warmer, her senses sharper, and at night when she lay down to sleep, her dreams were filled with strange images. A tiny heartbeat, a spark of life, a voice calling to her from inside. She tried to push it away, but she could not. Something was changing, something that had never happened in her people's history. The first attempt was not only an act of curiosity, it was the beginning of something much greater. But she was not the only one who noticed the change. Her mother began to watch her with fear, whispering to neighbors about her glow. Children laughed, pointing at her when her hands shook in the marketplace. And one evening, she overheard the elders speaking in low voices. She carries something dangerous, one said. Something that must be erased before it spreads. Her heart turned cold. Her hands clutched her belly, though she did not yet understand why. The truth was no longer only hers. It was now a threat to the entire city, and the council would not stay silent. She walked back to the human that night, her eyes wide with fear. "They know," she whispered. "They can see it in me. I don't understand what is happening, but they will come for me." The man's jaw clenched, his fists tight. "Then we must be ready, for your first attempt has already shaken the stars, and deep inside her, she felt it too. A quiet thrum, like a heartbeat that was not her own. Proof that the forbidden truth had already taken root. Proof that the universe would never be the same again. The alien girl thought she could keep it hidden. She wrapped herself in silence, spoke little at home, walked quickly through the streets, but change has a way of showing itself. And her body was no longer the same. Her skin glowed faintly, a soft warmth that even the dim light of the crystals could not hide. Her movements grew slower, her breaths deeper, and her eyes shone with a strange brightness. The other girls whispered, the mothers stared. Even the guards muttered when she passed. One day in the market, an elder stopped in front of her, his face twisted with suspicion. "What grows inside you, child?" he asked in a voice sharp enough to cut stone. Her lips trembled, but no words came. The elder's eyes narrowed. "This is no gift of the stars, this is something else. Something dangerous by nightfall." The whispers had turned into a storm. "She carries corruption," they said. "She has been touched by the humans. She brings shame to our kind." The girl fled, tears burning her eyes, her hands clutching her belly. She ran to the broken wall where the human waited, his face pale as he saw her trembling. "They know," she gasped. "They look at me and see it. They speak of corruption, of punishment. I don't understand what is happening to me, but they do." The man's eyes hardened, his jaw tight. "They fear what they do not understand," he said. "But you must listen, what you carry is not corruption. It is life." Her heart stopped, her breath caught. "Life," she whispered, her voice shaking. He nodded slowly, his eyes filled with both sorrow and wonder. "Yes, child, your body carries the spark of creation. The first between human and your kind. You are no longer only one, you are two." Her knees weakened, and she fell against him. 1,000 feelings crashed inside her. Fear, joy, confusion, terror, hope, a life inside her, a child born not of stars but of her own body. It was unthinkable, impossible, and yet it was real. But the world beyond their secret was already stirring. The council gathered, their voices heavy with anger. "This cannot be allowed," one thundered. "Our ways will be broken, our laws shattered. Already the people whisper of rebellion, of change," another warned. "If this truth spreads, we will lose our hold," a third growled. "Better to erase it now, before it grows stronger." Orders were sent. Guards marched, their staffs glowing with cruel energy. They were told to find the girl, to drag her before the council, to make her confess, and if she resisted, to end her. But beyond the walls of that single city, whispers did not die. Traitors carried the story from planet to planet. "A girl," they said. "A girl who carries a child of human blood." Miners repeated it in the deep tunnels of alien moons. Pilots whispered it in smoky taverns above strange stars. The story traveled faster than ships, faster than light. And soon the galaxy itself trembled with the rumor. Some called it a miracle, proof that humans were not cursed but chosen. Others called it a threat, a poison that would spread and destroy every tradition. But no one could ignore it. Everywhere the question rose. If humans and aliens can create life together, what does that mean for the future of the stars? Back in the human's small home near the broken wall, the girl sat trembling, her hands pressed against her stomach. Her voice was soft, broken. "Why me? Why was I the one to carry this? I am only a girl. I did not want to break the world." The man knelt before her, his eyes firm. "You were the one brave enough to ask. The one who dared to know. The universe chose you because you had the courage no one else had." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Her heart torn between pride and terror, she whispered, "But they will kill me." He placed his hand gently over hers. "Then they will have to kill me first, outside." The city was boiling. Crowds gathered, voices rose, some shouting for her death, others whispering that she carried hope. The council's guards prepared their march, their orders cruel and clear. But the girl and the human did not yet know that the storm was bigger than the council, bigger than the city, for across the stars, rulers and empires were already reacting. Some sent ships to watch, others sharpened blades, and in secret, a few prepared envoys not to destroy her but to protect her. The girl's first attempt had done more than change her own life. It had set the galaxy on fire. And no one, not her father, not the council, Not even the human who held her could stop the shockwave that was spreading. She had asked the forbidden question. She had dared the forbidden act, and now the universe itself whispered her name, not with scorn, not with pity, but with fear. The day of judgment arrived faster than the girl had feared. The council's summons echoed through the city, carried by guards in heavy armor. Every family was ordered to gather in the great square, every eye fixed on the platform of stone where justice was declared. The girl walked through the crowd with her head lowered, her mother weeping quietly, her father silent and cold. Whispers followed her like shadows. "That's her," one voice hissed. "She carries corruption inside her," another spat. Children clung to their parents, elders shook their heads. The air was thick with fear and anger. On the high platform, the council stood in their long robes, their faces like carved stone at their signal. Guards seized the girl and dragged her forward. Her body trembled, but her eyes remained fierce. The human tried to follow, but he was struck back by two guards, his voice roaring, "Touch her again and I'll tear your walls apart." The council leader raised his hand, silencing the crowd. "This child," he declared, "has broken the oldest law of our people. She has gone to the humans. She has learned their forbidden ways. And worse, she carries within her proof of their corruption." Gasps spread through the crowd like fire. The girl's knees weakened, but she forced herself to stand tall. Her voice shook, but she cried out, "It is not corruption, it is life." The council leader's eyes narrowed, his tone sharp. "Life? Do you call poison life? Do you call rebellion life? You threaten the foundation of our people with your shame." But her voice rose again, stronger. "No. You are the ones who lie. You tell us children come from stars, but I know the truth now. I carry the truth inside me." The crowd erupted, some shouting for her death, others silenced by fear. The human forced his way forward, his fists clenched. "She carries hope, not shame. She carries the future you are too cowardly to face." Guards struck him down, forcing him to his knees, but his voice thundered through the square. "If you destroy her, you destroy your only chance to grow beyond these walls." The council murmured in anger, their robes swirling as they turned to each other. Some whispered of exile, others of execution. But one elder, her face lined with age and sorrow, spoke softly. "What if she is right? What if this child is not corruption but a sign?" Her voice was quickly drowned by the others, but her words hung heavy in the air. The leader slammed his staff against the stone. "The council has spoken. This girl is guilty. Her punishment will be death. Her body burned so no trace of this corruption remains." The girl's heart froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Her mother screamed, her sisters wept. Her father turned away in shame. The guards raised their weapons, stepping forward to seize her. But before they could, the human broke free with a roar. He threw himself between her and the guards. His arms spread wide. "You will not touch her," he bellowed, his voice shaking the air. "She carries more courage in her small body than your entire council put together." The guards struck at him, their staffs crackling with energy. He staggered but did not fall, his body shielding her, his eyes blazing. The crowd gasped. Some began to cheer. For the first time, voices rose, not in fear but in defiance. "She is not poison," someone shouted. "She carries life," cried another. The council's control cracked, their commands drowned by the noise. The girl clutched the human's arm, tears streaming down her face. "They will kill you," she whispered. "Let them try," he growled, his body trembling but unbroken. The guards hesitated. The crowd surged, and in that chaos, the girl stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "You call me guilty, but I am not ashamed. I carry the truth, I carry the future, and you can kill me. But you cannot kill what has already begun." Silence fell for a heartbeat. Even the council leader faltered, his eyes narrowing with sudden doubt. Because deep inside, even he knew her words were true. The judgment they had declared was breaking apart before their eyes. The crowd no longer bowed, the guards no longer certain. The human stood tall beside her, blood on his face but fire in his eyes. And the girl, though trembling, shone brighter than the crystals themselves. The council had chosen judgment, but the people were beginning to choose her, and far above, beyond the city's sky, ships stirred, carrying the rumor further. The galaxy was already watching, waiting to see what choice would be made here in this square, and whether one alien girl and one human could change the destiny of the stars. The square was no longer silent. The crowd that once whispered in fear now shouted with fire, their voices rising like thunder against the stone walls. The council tried to speak, their staff slamming for order, But their words drowned beneath the roar of the people. The alien girl stood trembling, but not from fear. Her body shook with the power of truth, with the weight of the life inside her. The human stood at her side, blood streaking his face, his arms ready to shield her again. Together they looked small against the towering council, but in that moment, they were the strongest beings in the square. "Kill them both," one council member shouted, his voice desperate. But his command was met with resistance. Guards shifted uneasily, their eyes flicking between the council's orders and the crowd's fury. Some lowered their weapons, others stepped back uncertain. The girl's voice cut through the chaos. "You call me corruption, but I am life. You call me shame, but I am truth. You can burn me, but the fire will spread because the seed has already been planted, and the universe will never forget." Her words carried like a wave, striking hearts, breaking chains. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Fathers stared in silence, young ones whispered in awe. A spark had been lit, and no force could put it out. The council leader, his face twisted with rage, raised his staff high. "If the people will not obey, then fear will remind them." The staff glowed, light building into deadly fire. The girl's breath caught, but before the strike could fall, the human leapt forward, his hand grabbing the staff. The energy burned his skin, searing deep, but he did not let go. With a roar, he wrenched the weapon from the elder's hand and hurled it to the ground. The crystal inside shattered, exploding in sparks. The crowd gasped, then cheered. The council's power was broken. Not by armies, not by laws, but by one man's defiance. The girl's knees weakened, but she did not fall. She stepped forward, lifting her trembling hands, her voice softer but clearer than ever. "Look at me," she whispered. "I am proof that our people and humans are not enemies. We are not cursed, we are not poison, we are one." And then she pressed her hands against her belly. For the first time, she spoke the truth aloud. "There is a child inside me, a life born from both. A life that belongs to all of us, not just me, not just him, but the future of every world." The crowd froze, their eyes wide, their breaths caught. The council staggered, their faces pale. The human's hand trembled, but when he looked at her, his eyes shone with pride. The silence broke into cries, not of hatred, but of awe. "She carries life." Someone shouted, "She carries the future," cried another. The people pressed closer, their voices rising. "No more lies. No more fear. The council has no right to erase what the stars themselves have allowed." The council leader stumbled back, his robes dragging, his power gone. The guards dropped their weapons, some even knelt. The square no longer belonged to the elders, it belonged to the girl, the human, and the truth they carried. That night the city burned, not with fire, but with change. The council was forced to retreat, their laws shattered, their voices silenced. The people guarded the girl, surrounding her with protection stronger than any wall, and the human stood by her, his hand steady in hers. But the story did not end there. The rumor became a message, the message became a legend, carried by ships across systems, whispered in colonies, shouted in marketplaces. An alien girl carries the first child of human blood, and the universe will never be the same. Worlds divided by war paused. Rulers trembled, priests argued. Scientists raced to understand. Some called her a heretic, others called her a savior. But none could deny her existence. Her name became a spark that spread faster than light. And as the stars watched, the girl whispered to the life inside her, "You will not be forgotten. You are proof that love is stronger than fear, that truth is stronger than lies, that life is stronger than death." The human leaned close, his voice rough but steady. "Whatever comes, we face it together." And so they stood, hand in hand, two fragile beings against the weight of empires, yet their bond, their truth, their child was stronger than all the armies of the galaxy. For in the end it was not the council's judgment, not the people's fear, not the elder's staff that changed the stars. It was one forbidden question, one brave answer, and one attempt at life. The universe would write her story in its history, her defiance, her courage, her child, and the universe would never forget.